Oh, fuck.
What is up, chocolatiers? Yesterday, I did something a little different, a little odd. I did not put out a out-of-theater reaction for Stephen King's The Monkey. I guess I should say Osgood Perkins' The Monkey, because this is loosely based on Stephen King's short story by the same name. And the reason for that was because I was so all over the place, and I was trying to formulate my thoughts. And I just decided, I was like, let's not post this. Let's think a few days. Let's just go and put out a full review. So, going into this movie, I just want to specify that I'm not stupid, okay? I've been seeing a lot of people on Twitter confused with a lot of people that didn't like this film. You know, I know it's a dark comedy. I know this is a comedy slash horror. Emphasis on the slash. And I knew this going into it. Watching the trailers, I was like, oh, this is going to be kind of funny, whatever. But the thing is, like I say in a lot of my reviews, comedy is subjective. So there's a lot of films on this, you know, that I've reviewed in the past that I have loved because I thought it was so funny that other people were like, hey, glad you liked it, man, but I thought this movie was aight. Okay? And that's because comedy is subjective. So if you think something's funny, I might not think it, vice versa. And I feel like I'm walking over eggshells just to say that I think this movie is just okay. I don't think it's bad in any way. I think that the acting's pretty good. I think that most of the kills are pretty enjoyable. You know, the cinematography is good, stuff like that. You know, Osgood Perkins, he knows what to do with the camera, just like he did with Longlegs. But I feel like the horror aspect doesn't exist. And that's where I'm kind of iffy. So this movie pretty much takes a forefront of being a comedy. So getting to the plot, which is a very simple plot. That's another thing too. The plot doesn't deepen or do anything different or have anything crazy. It's just kind of run of the mill. These two boys, these twins, inherit a toy monkey, and whenever you wind it up, it plays the drums, and somebody will die. Usually somebody from their family, but it can just be somebody random. And no matter what you do, if you go, hey, I want you to kill this motherfucker over here, it's not going to do that. It doesn't work like that. It's not like the Death Note, okay? It's not like, you know, Yagami and them's writing it in. It's not going to kill it's just going to kill randomly whoever it wants to. And so the movie kind of does some weird things because, for example, the toy monkey in general is just weird because it can teleport, it can do stuff, and all this other crap like that. And I was really hoping that we'd get into maybe some, not lore necessarily, but like maybe like where it kind of came from. Not fully. I don't want a fucking Bloomhouse where like, this is where the monkey came from, and just like a 30-minute deep dive. I don't mean like that. I just would like some hints or some clues. You kind of get a little bit of that, but even still, it's still kind of maybe, whatever. But I feel like the main thing that just kind of affected me a lot in this movie, with me not enjoying it as much because this was my most anticipated movie of the month, was that for me, a lot of the comedy was lackluster. And I get it's a dark comedy, but like you would have the craziest fucking thing happen, like a death-wise, and it would just be like, huh, that's a joke. And I get it. Some of them were funny. Like the opening scene has a cameo up in it. It's pretty funny. There's a lot of the deaths that are kind of crazy and kind of funny, especially towards the end, for example. But I just feel like some of these things that happened, it was trying to meet that Fargo type of comedy, and for me, it just didn't work. Like, for example, in particular, in the trailer where you see the blood all over him, you know, somebody explodes basically in front of him. And when the cops get there, it's kind of like, yeah, we've seen people die a lot this week in crazy ways. Just, you know, stay here or whatever in town. We'll have some more questions for you. And then nobody elaborates or goes further with any questioning. They just kind of go, oh, fuck, it's whatever. And I'm like, I am glad that there's comedy there, but like it's almost like that everybody's stupid type of deal, like that type of comedy where it's like the cops are incompetent, these people are incompetent, and it's just like, okay. The main villain, which there is a main villain, which is funny in this movie, it's not really the monkey. The main villain, his motivations kind of, they don't suck, because I kind of get what he was coming from, but to me it was kind of like, I just feel like we had to wrap up this movie, we didn't know how, because pretty much the whole movie is just like, they have the monkey killing this motherfucker, he killing this motherfucker. It's just like, okay, well, what's the plot? And so they kind of make a plot, and for me, that kind of fell flat. The last like 20, 30 minutes, I was like, okay, I liked like the last 5 to 6 minutes. I didn't like how the movie ended. But there was just so much like, I don't know. Like, I guess what I did get into instead of saying I don't know, this is a review, I'm sorry. So, for example, the main character played by Theo James, because like I said, they're twins, it's both of them, but the main character, I can't think of his name right now, but he's the one that has glasses. He has a son, and there's a cameo there that comes along when the son's there, which is also weird that we keep getting all these cameos in this movie, and they just have like no weight, like these characters don't show up again, so it's really a cameo. But basically, clearly he doesn't have anything to do with his son, not because he doesn't love him, but he's scared because the monkey's getting inherited by family, and he doesn't want him to be anywhere near this, because especially, it kills a lot of family members when he gets wound up. He doesn't want anything crazy to happen to his son, so he tries to stay far away from him, so he sees him once a year. And the ex-wife is in cahoots with her new husband, and they both are like, hey, I'm gonna adopt your son, and he's gonna be mine officially. And, we're going to do this now. I rule the courts, whatever. And it's funny. It's play off for laughs. But him and his son dynamic, this is what I was in it for. I was eating this up. And at every possible moment, I was like, man, just tell your son. Man, dude, I don't care if you look crazy. Just tell your fucking son. He's seeing people exploding for him. Just tell him. And, like, at no point is he like, maybe I should just tell my son. He just doesn't. He just pretty much lies until, until he just has to tell him something. And a lot of what I didn't like is I feel like a lot of the dark comedy kind of got in the way of a lot of this character development. Like, for example, the exploding scene where I said, like in the trailer that you see, when the cops are talking to him, his son's so hell-bent on him, like, man, yeah, he lies to be the same. It's like someone just fucking died upstairs. There's, like, her body part pieces are literally on your dad. A stranger, not asshole or not, I feel like I'm only, not necessarily in shock, but just like, damn, this is crazy. And instead, he's just like, yeah, fuck my dad. Piece of shit. And he's like telling the cop this, and I'm just like, I get it's supposed to be funny, but like for me, I'm just kind of like, why? I don't get it. I'm sorry. I get it. Like, I do get it. It didn't work for me, man. It did not work for me. But like I said, this movie's not bad, though. I want to harbor on the good. Like, the kills, they're fucking fantastic. They're awesome. They're like some grindhouse shit. Like, people getting blown up, fucking body parts everywhere and shit. It's crazy. Some Final Destination shit. And, for the most part, I did like the characters. It's just I didn't like a lot of the way their stories ended. Like, even like that, there's like a weird subplot where like this one character gets involved because he's like, I want the monkey because it reminds me of my dad. And I'm like, haha, like, and shit like that. This was like funny, and I'm just like, I don't give a fuck. I don't care. And he takes up 15 minutes of the story. He has like his own like little subplot, and he does some shit, and I'm like, I get why he exists because he has to get us from A to B, but I don't fucking like that. Like, I feel like we could have done this any other way. It's not stupid, but it's just kind of like in the way. And so for me, I give this movie a fuck. This is hard because I like the movie. Even though I bitched the whole time, I want you to know this. I like the film. I just didn't love it. I was coming out of this movie going, this shit's going to be an 8 or a fucking 9, maybe even a fucking 10, at the very lowest a 7, but I feel like it's not there for me. I feel like I'm going to give this movie a 6 out of 10. I think it's getting a 6 out of 10. I do recommend going to see this movie in theaters, though, mainly because, like I said, a lot of the comedy is subjective. You might watch this shit and fucking laugh your ass off. I think it's one of the best things you've seen in your life. And top that on with good kills, good acting, good direction, blah, blah. This is going to be a perfect movie for you. But for me, like I said, it didn't land, and, whatever. But like I said, comedy's subjective, and it will land for some people. So I definitely recommend going to see this. And also, Neon's been kicking ass. They had Long Legs last year. They had Immaculate last year. This year they've got Together, which is coming soon, and I'm very excited for that movie. And they also put out Presents, which is pretty much my favorite movie of the year still so far. So it's one of those things where, they're hit or miss every now and then. You can't win them all. And for me, this didn't win it, but it's still a good movie. Like, subscribe.
It's back. It must be. I love my popcorn. Movies, popcorn.